I just wanted to come on here. It's been a while since I've done a live video, and I just wanted to say hi to everybody. And also, I was inspired to do this because I just did a post where I talked a little bit about mental health, and I saw so many people commenting like, this is exactly what I needed to hear today, or, and I think the thing is that on a regular basis, I think all of us need to hear those kind of things. I think that we're all kind of in flux all the time with our own emotional well-being and mental health. And, it's funny, someone once told me that if you reach out and show love and concern for someone, like 9 times out of 10, they needed it that day. And it made me really think about, I now try to send text messages to friends or random people, more often than I used to, just saying, hey, I'm thinking about you, just, you crossed my mind, want to say I love you and I think you're awesome. And it is amazing how most of the time when I send that kind of a text, a lot of the times the people write back saying, wow, I really needed that today. Oh, Peter Hollins is here. I love you, Peter. I miss you. But I just thought that was really interesting. And at church one day, the person giving the lesson said, I bet that every single person in this room needs a miracle. And you look around and the heads all kind of nodded, like, yeah, I need a miracle. Like, whether it's financial or spiritual or emotional, or you feel down, or you're looking for the love of your life, like whatever, or you have someone in your family that's sick, life is hard and we're all struggling, and it makes you view people differently if you realize that almost every single person out there is in need of a miracle. As you're walking around the street, as you're walking through the grocery store, almost every person is probably hoping or wishing or praying for something. We're all in this human experience together, and it makes you look at people differently and treat people differently when you realize that about people. And also, it just makes me try a little harder to just reach out to the people I love more often and let them know I love them. Also, on terms of, okay, I digressed. I went a different way. But what I really came here to say is that, like I said, a lot of people were saying, oh, I needed to hear that today, my post about my mental health. And what I said in there is that when you feel good about yourself on the inside and you love yourself on the inside, you glow on the outside. And to this day, I guess I'm so grateful that I'm in check with my mental health, but it doesn't mean that I don't still have my issues with it. It doesn't mean that I don't still have really hard days where I struggle with self-worth. I am just grateful that I'm at a pretty good spot right now where I've worked really hard so that I understand my emotional health. And for example, sometimes I'll go through a time period when I will look in the mirror and I will think to myself, I look so ugly. And you know what? That usually stems from the fact that I don't feel good about myself. And so outwardly I feel ugly. It's not that suddenly my face changed. I mean, sometimes it's because I'm having a breakout, let's be honest. But, you don't just look in the mirror and feel ugly unless there's something wrong inside. And I can tell you, especially when I was really sick, 10 years ago when I was in the height of my anorexia and depression, I always looked in the mirror and felt ugly. No matter how much makeup I put on, no matter what I did to my face or my hair or my outfit, I always felt ugly. And the thing is that came from inside. I don't look any different now than I did then, except for I've gained quite a lot of pounds for good, definitely good. But it's not that I suddenly got prettier. It's that I feel good about myself. Same with, it's even interesting. It's also socially the same. When I'm feeling really oh gosh, I have nothing to add to this conversation, or I don't feel like anyone likes me right now, or, because I still feel that sometimes. For example, on tour, sometimes if I'm not in a good place or I reach a bad place emotionally, I'll suddenly just start to feel like I don't fit in anywhere. And this happened a couple tours ago where I just really got into a depressed slump and I felt awful about myself. And I just felt like I had no one on tour that I could relate with. I felt like no one liked me. I had no friends. And I realized, but luckily now when I have these feelings of oh, I'm really ugly, or oh, no one likes me, or I don't have any friends, I realized that that's not coming from outside. It's not coming from my actual looks. It's not coming from the fact that no one likes me. It's coming from inside. And it's all about, I have a phrase that I now tell myself, it's a word. I tell myself I need to reset. I need to refocus. I need to refocus because these are lies. They're not true. It's stemming from the fact that I don't feel good about myself. And so it takes a lot of work to pull out of these slumps, but I'm so grateful that emotionally I'm in a place where I understand it and I can get through it. I can pick myself up, and it all stems from, the things that I do. I really dig deep in prayer, and I pray for Heavenly Father to help me feel who I am. I pray, I beg for him to help me see what I can do to help other people and why I have worth. Because worth comes from, you don't have to do anything to have self-worth. You don't have to prove yourself to God. You always are his daughter or his son, and he always loves you. And so that's the first place I start. Secondly, I really start to try to be grateful. I try to be grateful for the things I have. I also try to look outside of myself and think, well, if I'm feeling this way, maybe other people are feeling this way. And I start to try to serve other people in little tiny ways, just by saying hi to people. For example, on tour, thinking about maybe there's someone else that feels this way. And so at lunch, rather than sitting with my friends, I would find maybe a venue worker that was sitting alone, and I would sit at their table and ask them how they're doing. Like, looking outside yourself makes you realize, one, that you're not alone in this situation, and that there's so much good you can offer the world. Also, what else do I do? My gratitude journal. Oh, I listen to the thoughts in my head, and I start to dissect which are lies and which are true. And when I sense the lies coming in, like, I am ugly, I have nothing to offer, all those pessimistic, negative thoughts, they're not actually coming from me, they're lies. And so I start to give positive affirmations that are against them. I have worth. I love myself. I am beautiful. I am strong. I bring other people up. Anyways, these are just some of the ways that I have found. There are things in my tool belt. And I'm so grateful for the fact that I can look and I can realize that the problems are stemming from here, and that I can start to work to fix them as soon as I recognize that they're there. And these come in sneaky ways, and they come all the time. And sometimes they come when I'm around the people I love the most even. And I just have to remind myself always that I have worth, and tell myself the truth rather than letting the lies direct my life, because I did that for a long time. And so just remember that you got to start inside. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but that's all I wanted to say, is that I think a lot of people think of, at least in my story, I talk about my anorexia and depression as a past thing. I once had anorexia. I once had depression. The thing is that it's constantly trying to sneak back into my life. Now I know how to manage it. And I think that that's a better way to view mental health, rather than you just got to get through it, or I just had to get over anorexia. No, anorexia taught me the battle that I have to fight, and now I know how to fight it. But I often say that I really do believe that happiness takes work. And it's something I have to continuously work for and work towards. And yeah, sometimes I sense my anorexia coming back. It's not that I'm starving myself anymore, but it's the self-hatred side, the lack of worth, the feeling ugly inside and out. That's the anorexia in the mind. It's not the physical manifestation of it. However, I sense that and depression starting to try to creep back in. They want to control me so bad. But I'm not going to let them ever take control of me the same way they did. But I just thought, I don't know if I've ever been super vocal about the fact that I face this on a regular basis. It's not something I love, but it's something that I'm really grateful that I know how to fight it. And I realize that if I continuously work at it, that I will be able to overcome it over and over and over again, as long as I'm willing to say it's worth it, and I want to fight for my happiness. Because happiness really, for me, it does take work, and I do live a very happy life now. That wasn't always the case. And also, it's not like overnight I beat anorexia or depression. It took a solid year of a lot of work. Therapy, group therapy, counseling, going to a nutritionist. It was a part-time job while I was in college and I had a job, and I was also spending basically all my free time working on my brain. And after about a year of work, I remember one time going to dinner with my parents, and I was able to order a pasta with cheese on it. And I ate it, and I felt okay about myself. And I remember the joy in that moment, because what I ate didn't equal my worth, because I ate that. It didn't mean that I was worthless. It didn't mean that I was a failure. It didn't mean that I was horrible. It was an amazing moment of like, wow, I'm getting better. My worth isn't attached to outside sources. And as silly as that sounds, it was very real to me, and it was a huge victorious moment because that was not always the case. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys, that for me it's a constant battle, and we can all face this together. I think that by giving strength to each other, and me sharing my story, and then you sharing your story with each other, or with your friends, or and realizing that it's baby steps. Eventually, if you're in the midst of depression or anorexia or anxiety or whatever, or drug use, whatever it is that you're in the trenches of, you can't expect that like you do these things and you're better overnight. It's a growing process, but eventually you'll be able to be strong enough to, in the moment, catch yourself and say, I'm not going back there. And it's a choice I make on a daily basis, sometimes. And reminding myself that above anything else, I have worth and I'm loved. And I'm so incredibly grateful for the journey I've been through. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I think it's something that a lot of us face. And, by talking about it and being open about it, and especially because I really feel like I got through it. Like I said, I still have to face it, but I got through it, and I was victorious over it, and now it's just maintenance. But anyways, that's what I wanted to share. I hope you're all having a great day. I hope you know how amazing you are and how much worth you have, regardless of like what talents or how many friends or how many likes or whatever. Like, you have so much worth just because you're here, just because you're you. And I mean that. It's weird to think that just by existing we have worth, but you do. And the more you realize that, the more you'll start to glow, and the more you'll start to help other people, and the more you'll be a beacon of light in a world that can sometimes be really dark. Anyways, I hope you all remember that. I try to remember that. I do. But anyways, talk to you soon.